Hi everyone. So my focus this semester was on the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, which is an advocate and activist group. Their slogan is Saving the Bay Through Education, Advocacy, Litigation, and Restoration. And from my previous casual searching and later on my more analytic searching, I saw that the hashtags that seemed to be the most popular were the hashtags Save the Bay and Chess Bay. And they usually center on the key subjects of runoff, storm runoff, farm runoff, air pollution, invasive species, legislation, and a ton more like clean water and such like that. The typical member ranges from legislators and the Chesapeake Bay activist group employees, like from the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, the Bay Trust, or the Bay Program, to volunteers, students, and donors. And their typical social media use is largely on Facebook and Twitter, and also the foundation and groups have their own blogs and news sections on their websites. And they can share anything from progress or lack thereof, reports, photos, videos, articles, and a lot more, all centered on these key issues as well. And I've learned a lot more detailed information about the general topics through my blog posts, my research, and what I shared on social media. For example, I learned through one of my recent blog posts what are considered to be invasive species in the Chesapeake Bay watershed, what they're doing to the bay and its tributaries, and what is being done to do away with them. My goals from the get-go were to extend my reach to influencers in a broader community and educate my community as a means to incite action by promoting events, giving tips, and being a learning resource of sorts. For my POS, out of the POST, my people consisted of environmentalists, advocates, volunteers, donors. They could be an employee, they could be, the guy next door. It really consists of a huge range of people. And the objective, like I said, for my goal is to inform as a way to energize, because education begets understanding. And my strategy would be to be a learning resource and encourage community growth and involvement. So my tactics centered on how will I inform them and how can I be that learning resource. So I took to my blog and I wrote relatable blog posts which I promoted on social media. Two examples are my green living tips and recycling tips blog posts. And I also used hashtags like Save the Bay, Chess Bay, Green Living, Environmental Law, and tons of others. And I used those to not only promote my blog posts, but to spread the general messages and news that's going on in this news beat, I guess you could say. And I also used the Follow Friday hashtag FF to reach out to influencers as well, to kind of get my name out there. My posts on my blog were meant to be informative and related to the interests of my community. My focus for the final 2 weeks was on Earth Day and related events and activities, and I promoted those blog posts on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook was the primary platform of choice because of the site's availability to pick up these thumbnails from the websites, and I found linking to the stories and other updates helpful because it not only had a description and a link, but also an image to catch the user's eye. I was able to share other Chesapeake Bay related group status updates as well, with the attributions of course, as well as the updates from different news sources like the Washington Post and my blog posts. As for Twitter, I used it in the same fashion as Facebook, but on a much smaller scale, and after perusing Topsy I found some new influential Twitter accounts, to which I used the Follow Friday hashtag to promote Chesapeake Bay advocates, as well as get my name out there. Tumblr was strictly used for content curation. I linked to outside sources for the most part, and occasionally I would post my blog posts there as well, but for the most part I was just letting them know what was going on in the world in regards to the Bay. So for the results, my blog didn't get a huge amount of results, not as much as I would like. The best in one day for views looks to be 12, and I had just under 60 views for the month of April. And most of the traffic seemed to be referrals from Facebook and Twitter, and then there were a lot of clicks away from my page as well, especially the content curation posts that I did. As for Facebook, the posts that I shared from other sources, like the Chesapeake Bay Foundation or the Chesapeake Bay Program, had the most virility according to Facebook Insights. And the highest the highest as of Friday, May 2nd was 15.38% virility. And my reach since April 15th has ranged from 56 to 71 people, while the highest number of people, quote unquote, talking about this is 3. As for the demographics, 82% are female, and also 82% of people in general from ages 18 to 24 is 82%. And 23 out of 50 likes are from the greater Philadelphia area, which does make sense since that is where I am from. And the page view high was 9 on April 25th, and I happened to have 3 posts that day. The first 2 posts were 3 hours apart, and the second 2 posts were 6 hours apart. So, as for my Twitter, I had some low click numbers, which was disappointing. And my Twitter handle was only mentioned after I did the Follow Friday, but I also did get some retweets, and some environmental groups, including the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, followed me within the last 2 weeks. And I did find that the Chess Bay and Save the Bay hashtags were the most popular, which is what I perceived at the beginning. But I also saw a good amount of activity on Topsy for Green Week, Earth Day, and Arbor Day. And see here, they actually tweeted back my Follow Friday, which was kind of neat. And then this red line is Save the Bay hashtag, and the blue one is Chess Bay, and all the way down here is my Twitter handle. So there is a little bit of activity on my Twitter handle, but not nearly as much as these 2 hashtags. Now on to the analysis. The internet is so saturated with blogs that it is hard to make one that will garner a lot of traffic, but it's still worth a try if you have something different to offer the people interested in your topic. But also another thing that I thought affected the foot traffic to my blog was that I opted at the beginning of the semester to not be indexed by search engines, and my SEO wasn't exactly up to par, but that was also intentional. So I think that if I worked a little more on my SEO and was indexed by search engines, there would be a little bit more traffic. And then, of course, using more compelling, continuing to find more compelling topics to write about will also help get more traffic down the road. As for Facebook, it seemed to work in that there was a decent amount of reach and views through the last few weeks, which means that my tactic for informing the community was working well, and however, the strategic outcome of action is still unknown. That's kind of a moving target at this point. My Twitter, I got a little bit of traction, but it probably could have gone better. I do think that being recognized via Twitter, retweets and follows by top influencers like Chesapeake Bay Foundation, Trust, and Program will definitely gives me credibility. As for Tumblr, unfortunately, it turned into something of an afterthought. I didn't let it grow the way it needed to, and I didn't really get anywhere with Google Analytics on the Tumblr page as well. So, since I sort of went out on my own little comfort zone with Tumblr when I first started it, but I guess because I'm not that comfortable with it yet, I still am sort of kind of figuring out how to make it work as well as a regular blog or a Facebook or Twitter. It didn't, like I said, grow the way it needed to over the last couple of weeks. But I do think that my work is a good start for a social media campaign. Something I would do differently is produce and post more original content aside from my blog posts, like taking videos of activities or events, and likewise with photographs. And also getting in interviews with both influencers and volunteers and kind of giving a well-rounded look at the multitude of issues that go into the Chesapeake Bay. And I think that would give it a lot more personality throughout the different platforms, which will be more engaging and relatable with the community members. So I think, like I said, it's a good start. It has a lot of great potential to continue to grow and be the learning resource that people would need to to really take up arms, I guess you could say, and go down to Annapolis or at the Capitol, or join in a cleaning event, and maybe even donate if that's all they can really do. And that's kind of the end goal. I want to inform so then these actions occur and there's community growth and energy. So that is my social media campaign, and I'm looking forward to seeing everyone else's.